Good Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome back to my mini sketchbook tour. This is week number 23, I believe. So let's get into it. The first spread was done in one of my favorite places to sketch, and that's on the subway. This particular gentleman was perfectly napping against the window, and then over the ride he shifted positions, so I got him in 3 different positions, and that was during my morning commute. And I remember the spread looked really empty without the bottom half being filled in, so I had to get something in. And as I was going home from work later on that night, this particular gentleman was sitting right in front of me in profile, and that sort of fit the spot perfectly. This next image is of my coworker Elmer. He was taking his lunchtime nap. I usually take a nap as well during lunch, but I had an urge to draw, so I drew Elmer. And this next spread, which just happens to be the last spread of this particular sketchbook, is at my local food court in my local shopping mall. What I wanted to do, and I started off sketching this guy, and then these gentlemen started playing backgammon, and so I sort of transitioned into drawing them, and the scaling of it didn't work out too well. So that's something I have to work on in future drawings, is to get the scale right from one subject to the next. But I really enjoyed drawing this particular gentleman in particular because I think I nailed him, and with only a few lines, and I made a few notes here. For example, leaving lines out of face gives face a more realistic portrayal as long as I get the existing lines in the right place, and I think that holds true here. I tried to minimize my line work, so it's not sort of like a befuddled mess here. And likewise with this gentleman, just key pen strokes to try to get the characteristic of the face. So let's move on to my second sketchbook, a new sketchbook, again going back to my food court, and this time I was a bit more ambitious, trying to sort of sketch sort of like a major portion of the food court. So again, what I started off was this particular gentleman in the foreground, and then moved my way back. Again, I made a few notes excuse me, of how I sort of approach sketching crowds now. I sort of, and this is probably obvious to everybody else, but to me it was a revelation. I would sketch the foreground with quite a bit of detail in my subjects. Then I moved to the midground, and I would decrease the amount of detail line work. But the midground here was this particular layer of folks. And I think drawing that kid right there is reflective of the perfect amount of line work I should have given to everybody else in that particular layer. But I sort of went kind of haywires with that gentleman there and that gentleman there. I should have pared back on the line work. And then, of course, the background layer, just implying sort of bodies and heads with circles and basic shapes of their bodies. So this was a good first attempt at a really detailed or a sort of multi-subject scene that lay before me. This next particular spread, back to one of my favorite sketching locations on the subway. This lady was snoozing, and she sort of like hunched over, and I liked how her jacket sort of scrunched up and sort of emphasized her hunched form. And then this was at the food court. I think it was done at the same time this particular drawing was done, but this subject, he decided to get up and move, so I couldn't finish drawing him. But what I like about this drawing is that I combined 2 different color pens, as well as just really saying this drawing didn't work, so I made an outline and then I drew everything around it. I kind of like that look, and you'll probably be seeing more of that type of format in future spreads. This was at Union Station, and I remember going there with a mission to sketch a person before I hopped on the train to get out to Oakville. And as I was getting my coffee, I spied this particular gentleman sitting in the chair taking a snooze, And there basically was one of these kind of gigantic posts with a ledge there right over here, and that's where I sat and sketched him. I was out in the open. I was kind of like, screw it, I don't care what anybody else thinks, I'm going to sketch this particular gentleman, and that's what I did. And I really like how this drawing turned out. And just going back to foreground, midground, and background, my approach was to simplify this particular gentleman who sat beside my main subject, and just create basic shapes, basic shadows, and not go into that much detail. And I think it works as a drawing to describe a particular environment. And then the last drawing, I believe the last drawing for week number, one more. The second last drawing for week number 23 is at my work. But I started drawing my father, and he didn't want to be drawn. So again, reverting back to that format of squaring out an unfinished drawing and then surrounding that unfinished drawing with something else. We received a lot of new machinery this particular week, during week number 23. This particular machine is a stamper. I'm not too sure what the official name is, but this particular roller rolls a particular pattern on frame moldings. And we haven't set it up yet, but there's other machinery to its side and behind, and that'll give me a chance to sketch gears and other hardware. So be sure to stay tuned for future Sketchbook Tour videos where you might see those other machines. And then the last drawing for week number 23, back to the subway. I was sitting, what I will remember about this particular spread in the future is that I was just simply exposed in a double-seater on the outside seat, my sketchbook in my lap, not caring about what other people thought, and just sketching these two gentlemen taking a nap during the after-hour business rush. So that is it, folks. Thanks for joining me for week number 23. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it inspired you a bit to do your own sketching in the public realm. Thanks for joining me. I hope you had a great week. I hope you will have a great week. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.